Well, hello everybody. Welcome back and happy New Year to you all. Why does it say Breakfast Club? Because I didn't check it. That's why. This is not Breakfast Club. This is Champ Chat. There we go, Champ Chat. And we have not been here for a while, so we have lots to discuss. Birmingham in the mud. We're going to discuss that. Wrexham on track for playoffs. We're going to discuss that. And we're going to discuss everything else that comes to our mind. We'll do a little bit of a roundup over the Christmas, New Year, and have a bit of fun, because you know what? I got bored of not talking to anybody, sitting at home on my own, so I'm going to talk to my pals, John, and we have another guest tonight. Ken is joining us. Hey, Kenny.
Yeah. This is like an expert panel. I'm really nervous being here.
Aaron couldn't make it, unfortunately. But we may have other guests later, so let's see. Let's see what's happening. Oh, look at the chat. I'm just looking at the chat now, and people already giving out that I'm late. I am late. I was talking to my pals that I haven't spoken to in ages. Right. So, did we enjoy the football over the last couple of weeks? I did. Ken?
Well, yeah. I mean, after 2 weeks ago, I was very despondent about what Wrexham can do, and then Parky goes and changes the formation. All of a sudden, we clicked, and I'm like, here we go. But yeah, I don't know. So it's been great the last two games. I'm hoping we can continue. Last three, sorry. And yeah, I'm hoping we can continue that one to in less than 24 hours.
John, how was your Christmas, New Year football?
Rather depressing, really. We're not very good, and our neighbours are actually quite good at this football lark, which is even worse.
Oh well. You know what? You got to halfway with only 1 point less than us.
Yeah. It's not been great, has it? Let's be honest.
Do you know what? It's not as bad as maybe it sounds, as long as that little dip comes back soon. But I have been diving into the numbers. I've been playing with the numbers because obviously we've been having fun. We've had 3 matches in a row, so let's go crazy and say we're going to get promoted because we can now potentially make the playoffs. But I wanted to see how true that was. How close are we? Is it realistic? Is it not? And just play about with it and have fun while we can still say we're close enough. So let's see what goes on. So first up, let's actually pull up the championship table and have a look at that first and see what it tells us to talk about. If I can get it. Come on. Rusty at this whole game. Championship matches. That's the one.
I love it that it's a technical issue, John, and it's not me.
I'm not back on IT support till Monday, thankfully.
There we go. League table. And oh, look, we can't see Birmingham. What a shame. It's not like I did that on purpose. That just happened. Okay, so who is in the lead? Coventry is still there, although the gap has closed up a little bit. Ipswich Town 44, Middlesbrough 43, Watford 41, Hull 41, Preston North End leading the bottom of the playoff spots with 40 points by a couple of goal differences. Then we have Millwall, Bristol, Stoke, Wrexham in 10th. We are 4 points, or 3 points technically, with some goal difference away from the playoffs. Then we have Derby, QPR, Leicester in 13th. Let's slide this down so we can see the rest of them. Southampton, Sheffield United, Swansea City, Birmingham City, West Bromwich Albion, Charlton Athletic, Blackburn Rovers, Portsmouth in 21, and then Paddy last. The 3 teams about to get relegated at the moment. Let's see what happens there. Norwich City in 22nd, Oxford 23rd, and Sheffield Wednesday still on negative points. We all know what's going on with that situation. But it's getting tight down the bottom of the table, guys. Let's start with that. We have who's in the bottom grouping. Let's say from Charlton down. So 19 Charlton, 28 points. Blackburn Rovers 27, Portsmouth 25. Norwich City, who have been slowly climbing, 24, Oxford 22. So we still thinking Oxford and Portsmouth going to be in there?
I think Blackburn also.
With that.
I watched I think it was about 60 minutes of your game against Blackburn, and I thought Blackburn were as bad as a side I've seen this season.
Oh yeah, Blackburn.
They looked. I know they've got a lot of injuries and stuff, and so you have to take that into consideration. But I thought they looked really bad. And Charlton keep dropping, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, actually, just quickly on Blackburn, John, the manager just had nothing on the sideline. He literally just watched the whole match. He just stood there, didn't see him really giving any direction. And I just sort of thought, there's a guy that has no options at the moment with the amount of injuries they have. It's like 9 or 10 injuries at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, without going off on a transfer tangent, it sounds like they're going to get Aaron Cashin on loan from Brighton. We're obviously sending him back, and it sounds like he's off to Blackburn on loan for the rest of the season. So that's another defensive cover. Yeah, not sure it's going to change much for them, if I'm honest.
I still think Portsmouth, Oxford, and Sheffield Wednesday, though, Paddy.
Okay. Something I just noticed there that I did not mention is Charlton Athletic, Blackburn, and Portsmouth all still have a game in hand.
Yeah.
So they can increase their lead a little bit there, depending on what happens with those. So that will be interesting. We're definitely getting a block near the bottom, and everybody else is kind of slowly climbing away. Now, we have a super chat tonight. Thank you very much, Kelly Davidson. Kelly says, just want to thank Merlin's Irish cousin Paddy, as well as John and Ken, for making a very bad day a little bit better. You're very welcome. And I checked with John, and John says he's in no rush. So we'll see how long we go tonight. Ken will be leaving us in a little while because he actually has better things to do than sit and talk football for hours and hours. He actually works for a living. Only joking. John works too, but it's his nighttime. So.
And he's still on holidays.
Yeah, and some would say it's debatable whether I work anyway. So
yeah, no, hiding in an office, pretending to do something.
Tell people to turn it on and off again. Yeah, I've heard it all before.
Oh, what's the technical term for that? Do a power cycle? There we
Perform
go.
a power cycle. Yeah.
Okay. That whole thing about me being a wizard is something that was in the Discord, people. We were chatting earlier. I was just having a little bit of fun. And someone decided to get an AI generated picture of me. So if you want to see Paddy the Wizard, he is in Discord.
Oh, I'm going to look at that.
And you know what? Let me put out the link now, because that's a perfect segue to invite people to come and say hi in the Discord.
I can't wait. Once he's done this and he starts to climb this table, there's some fun stuff coming with this table. It's like, it's really interesting with how close the championship is. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to where you boys go with this chat.
Are you saying that he's done his sums correctly, Ken?
Well, I never blame anybody for not doing the sums correctly, John. People in glass houses. People in glass houses, I think, is the saying. But I do correct them.
Yeah, I give you credit. You do correct them. Yeah.
But actually, well, can I do a quick segue then, Paddy?
Go on.
For 2 seconds.
Hmm?
Because in very bad news for you, John's overtaken you in the footy tipping.
Oh, dear. I might actually have to start taking this seriously.
So, yeah, well done, John.
Closing you guys down, actually.
Oh, you're not catching me, but you passed Paddy.
Have to start somewhere. You can only pass what's in front of you, you know?
Okay. Yeah, that was my quick segue. Let's get back on topic.
Okay, so that is just a basic quick scan down the league. So let's do a little bit of sack watch without going into too much detail on Birmingham, because we'll talk about them a lot tonight. Tonight is our perfect opportunity to dump onto John, and we're going to take it. So Sheffield Wednesday, they're not going to do anything. We know about that. They can't anyway until they sell. First of all, Oxford United. They're the ones without a manager, aren't they?
They are the ones without a manager.
That's the one.
Yes.
I was trying to think. I mixed it up earlier. So they have had 2 losses, a win, and 2 losses in the last 5. They're bad. They just have been really poor in general, haven't they? I don't see them climbing out of this, even with a couple of players. Can they get a hold of one player that can pull them out of this? Is a team able to do it if they get one goal scorer?
I think they need more than one player. I think if they went and got, shall we say, 2 or 3 good loans, because I think that's realistically the only quality player they're probably going to get is a loan. I don't see them buying somebody of real quality. Then yes, it's possible. It's a massive decision, the next manager for Oxford. Obviously, they've gone with a bit pragmatic in the sense of Rowett before. Do they continue with that, or do they go for a little bit more? I mean, I did see, I think it was it Liam Manning's name bounded around? I think I saw somewhere earlier, which is kind of the polar opposite to Rowett. That's more of a possession-based, a bit trying to play attacking football. I don't know. I guess they're in last chance saloon and they realise it, don't they?
Yeah, Oxford doesn't have that game in hand either. So if the teams make the most of their game in hand and gain a couple of more points, Oxford is really slipping behind. There's a significant number of points there they need to catch up on. And Norwich, at least for them, they're playing better. They're starting to look better. Their recent points total, you can see it there in front of us. Win, draw, win, loss, win. 10 points in the last 5. So they're on the upswing here. They're likely to keep climbing. And I do think they will strengthen a bit in January. So Norwich City manager, happy, comfortable, everything good there because they swapped earlier anyway. Portsmouth, win, draw, win, loss.
Yeah, they're going to be in the relegation fight, aren't they? They're sort of not a guaranteed relegation.
Yeah, and we kind of knew that anyway, so I don't think they're under much stress, are they? Not really.
No, I wouldn't.
For manager-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's doing enough, shall we say. I think it's one of those, isn't it? I'm not sure he could afford like a 5-6 game bad run now in their position.
Yeah. Okay, Blackburn Rovers are looking really poor. Valerian Ismail, isn't it? Blackburn. And he's been there all season, so he hasn't been sacked yet. If again another one of these, I think if he goes on a really bad run, it could happen. But not under immediate pressure. He's gaining some points. 5 points in the last 5. That's enough to just kind of keep you where you are.
I'm not sure there's the funds or the...
Yeah, or what's it going to get you?
Yeah, I'm not even sure the motivation from the ownership is there to change, even if they go on a bad run. I'm not sure they care too much, sadly.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's so hard for him at the moment. Like if I'm him and the owners were talking about that, I'd be like, well, I've got 9 injured players, guys. What do you want me to do? I can't play. Like, he played a 19-year-old that most of the fans hadn't even heard of against us the other day.
Yeah. So what can you do? Right, above that then is Charlton Athletic, who have not been great recently, but still pulled off 5 points in the last 5 matches. So, again, that's kind of balancing you out and keeping you where you are.
Yeah, although I've got a hot rumor on this, Paddy.
Go on.
He's been the Charlton Athletic manager's been in secret talks with Tom Brady. Apparently, he's about to get the Birmingham job. Nathan Jones to Birmingham. Imagine that.
You do realise he has gone for the Birmingham job before.
Oh, has he? Oh
no. Yeah. He did. He went for it when Eustace got sacked.
Right.
Didn't get it then either.
Just having some fun. Just having some fun.
Okay. Then above them, not quite safe as houses, but 3 points higher up, West Bromwich Albion doing okay. They have scored 6 points in the last 5. Lower end of the table. They won't really be in the relegation fight, I think. I think this is pretty much the cutoff, unless someone goes on a big slide later. I would say from here up, they're pretty safe-ish. They can win. They can win matches against big teams, let's say, from here up. Right. Then we have... There's nobody else we're worried about getting sacked. Is there? We'll talk about Birmingham. Leave Birmingham out of it for a moment.
I don't think
We'll
so.
discuss that later. Okay. Right. Then let's drag this up and top half. Right. Is there anything in particular we want to discuss here before we go into the main topics of the night? Any discussion points I haven't really thought of. Now, my next discussion will bring us into Coventry talk and general talk of the league as well. So, any other stories last week or so that we should talk about? I can't really think of any, to be honest.
Well, I guess if there's commentary talk, you'll get into what I was thinking, which is about two or 3 weeks ago, I tipped Ipswich to win the league now, and I'm going to stand.
Oh, Coventry, Ipswich. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it does actually involve Ipswich, so yeah, we'll discuss it as we go through it.
Cool.
Perfect.
I'll leave that be.
Okay, so the league is where it is, so let's pull that down. And move. There we go. Now I need to swap this over. So on January, okay, the general discussion now is going to be about fans and how they kind of interact with clubs. And I suppose in a little bit then how the clubs actually interact with the fans as well. And I'm going to start with Coventry, because Coventry are top of the table. They were on a fantastic run. They've slipped a little bit, but like they're out in the lead here by multiple points. So surely everybody's happy, you would think. Yeah? Owners are happy, fans are happy. Everything is right in the world with Coventry.
Not sold on that one.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So Doug King, now let's see if we can have it put it up there. Doug King decided basically on New Year's to put out a little bit of a statement and discuss supporters. So I'll jump over here and I'll read a bit of it. I won't do the whole thing because it's quite long, but there's lots of topics in here we can briefly talk on. So it's been an incredible 2025 for our football club. On the pitch, accumulated a remarkable 92 points, blah, 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 blah. Yes, you're doing really well. Now, our home form, despite the recent setback on Monday, which is their loss to Ipswich, has been nothing short of exemplary, winning 18, drawing 2, and losing only 3 games. To put that into perspective, the club suffered 9 defeats at home in 2024. Okay. Right. There is, he gives out here about parachute payments. Do we want to mention anything about parachute payments, or will we skip that?
I think we've done that subject to death before, haven't we, really?
Yeah. Okay, not too relevant at the moment, right? Basically, he doesn't think it should happen. Even if he goes up to the Prem, he thinks they should get rid of him. So that's fine. Let's skip down. Parachute payments. Here we go. Speaking candidly, it's always great when they start with this. It means they're about to fucking say something stupid. Right. It was disappointing for us all at the club to see our home supporters exiting in droves as we conceded the second goal on Monday with 10 minutes still to go. Highlighted in bold, aren't we all in this together to the end? Okay, I'm going to stop there for 2 seconds, right, before I even go into the rest of it. What do you think is about to come here? Like, is that how you welcome your fans into the new year and an amazing season where we're going to get promoted to the Prem?
It's just a total lack of understanding how football fans work, isn't it? Especially this time of year, New Year's Day. It was New Year's Day, the game against Ipswich, wasn't it?
No, it was before that. It was 28th, I think, or something.
28th.
But this statement came out.
Yeah.
And it was the New Year's Day, everybody reported on it. So I think it was like the night before or two.
Having been a football fan that's been a season ticket holder for like near 30 years, when you go to games in between Christmas or on Christmas and in between Christmas and New Year, if your side are getting beat and you've had to sort of, dodge family, get round it to get to the football, and your team go 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and traffic's an absolute nightmare around where you're based, let's be honest, come on now. Degree of sensible thinking.
Yeah, I was about to go exactly where you went, John, with the people, there's an owner / manager, whoever, the people making these statements that are literally have no understanding of transport scenarios. People like and if fan wants to leave, then the fan wants to leave. The only constant in football teams is the fans. The managers, the owners change, the managers change, the players change.
Okay, so you're giving a lot of grace here to the fans. That literally it was holidays. Okay, look, fuck it. C'est la vie, we lost. I'm out of here. I've got family stuff to deal with. Yeah. He said droves. So he said a lot of people now. He didn't just say a couple.
Yeah.
So what? Tough. He shouldn't have said it. Okay. All right. Let's bring it back up and keep going. All right. Now I have to jump to the screen because I can't read it because my eyesight is going bad. Okay. As we move into 2026, the club is going to need, underlined and bolded, our supporters like never before. This is our moment to drive the team into the success that we know is there for us to grasp. We have an incredible opportunity to reach the Premier League for the first time in a generation. And with 11 home games remaining, we need to make our home a stronger fortress than it already has become. All right, so that was the warm-up. So now, on that note, it is a good moment to remind everybody of the current configuration post-ownership. We've reduced the away fan allocation to around 2,000 from 3,000 to allow more home supporters to be part of this. When we sell out our match day home tickets, we open the exchange, blah, 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 yeah. Right, he now gives out that you're not giving enough back to the exchange. We're also giving you vouchers for food and drink. So we're treating you nicely, blah, 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 blah. However, there is always more demand for tickets than tickets put onto the exchange. And despite having this facility, nearly 10% of season ticket holders do not post on sold out games or physically attend each home game. So versus Ipswich, for example, with an official attendance of 31,213, over 3,000 less were present in the arena supporting our team. Now, this was 2 days before New Year's Eve, I think.
I find this hilarious because
so
read the subtext. Seriously, we're only giving away 2,000 away tickets. We're giving you food and drink vouchers. We want you all to turn up and spend more money, please.
Spend more money.
We can make more money. That's all I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've reduced it to 2,000, but we actually charged the earth to the away fans because their ticket prices this season have been horrific.
One of the highest.
Yes.
Yeah, they have been utterly shambolic, to be brutally honest. And again, saying, season tickets are not handing their tickets back because, I want to sell more tickets at a higher price.
Yeah. Yeah. All I heard there was, we want to make more money.
Yeah. Nothing to do with how loud it is or what the sport. It's all about money. Nothing else.
Yeah. So one I love the kind of managerial speak where you try and get your point across but have no understanding of the opposite. So it's now I don't want you in the seats because I want you to spend more money. We're giving you a voucher for food and drink. So it's not, I want you to spend more money. I want you here supporting the team. Now, why are your tickets so bloody expensive? Because you're including food and drink tickets and vouchers for all season ticket holders to make sure you get extra cash out of them because your season ticket holders don't buy food and drink. They bring their sandwich, they bring their little flask of cocoa or whatever, or they just don't eat and drink at the stadium anymore because it's too bloody expensive. So we'll just include it and increase your ticket price in the first place. And I'd love to know what happens to that voucher if they put it on the exchange. I bet you they exchange it for the same price and don't give the voucher because that's only for season ticket holders. So they make even more money when they do that as well. Now, let's finish this. I don't think there's too much more, is there? If our exchange was utilized fully, a further 3,000 tickets would have been posted and available for purchases for this game, covering those who could not attend. On that note, as we move into 2023, Can I ask for 3 New Year's resolutions? No, you cannot. You already take enough of our money. Listen to this. This is hilarious, guys. I've never seen anything like this before. All season ticket holders clear their diaries for those 11 home games. We need you there. This is our moment. It will probably not get better than this. If on the off chance you cannot make it, and I do understand the TV schedules, once the exchange opens, put that ticket up for sale. Make it a priority. Put an alarm reminder on your phone. If you have one, put an alarm reminder on your phone if you have one. How many people at that stadium do you think do not have a phone?
I guess his point is if you can afford to own a phone because you've had to pay so much for your season ticket.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe you sold your phone.
Plus,
Maybe
I bet you they have digital season tickets where you need a phone. So.
Yeah. Okay. Stick with us in your seat to the end of the match. Win, lose, or draw. It really matters. From the club side, we will continue to strive to improve your experience with the fan zone and other initiatives that'll cost you money. We will commit that after the Leicester A+ local derby game and Millwall midweek C game, all other home games until our last home fixture against Wrexham will be set as B games, which basically implies it's an A+ game in the last one. I love how they're trying to hide that. Okay. We want you physically there at the stadium cheering our incredible team. We will assess again the benefit to season ticket holders for posting their tickets on the exchange to improve uptake. And here, just to kick people right at the very end, all those lucky enough to have a season ticket. Though at this moment, I urge you to play your part in getting our stadium full and driving the atmosphere that inspires our boy to reach the heights needed to succeed. Thank you all for your incredible support, but you're not doing enough. You bunch of whatever. A lot has been achieved in the last few years, and I hope 26 is a year to remember for each and every one of you. Do you know what? God help them if they slip into third. Do you know what? If they go on a bad run in this second half and slip down into the bloody playoffs, yeah.
Well, he's going to blame the fans, isn't he? Let's be honest.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that horrendous?
It just strikes me as a football owner totally out of touch with his fan base and football in general. You're top of the league, you're flying high. Why create a negative story? Because that's what it has done. I'm sure Coventry fans reading that will be not particularly enamoured with him.
That's a whole no-win situation state.
Yeah. It's just stupid. It's made a lot of noise out of absolutely nothing, and there was no need to do it.
Does he really think that that's going to help anything? No. Is this going to drive people to use the exchange? You know, and increase potentially up to 3,000 extra tickets or whatever he said is possible if everybody uses the exchange and puts them out there for people to buy. Like, surely not. Just go into your computer record, see who didn't turn up, send them a personalized letter nicely and ask them, you know, whatever. You know, we see you were, by our records, you weren't able to make the game at the weekend. We're sorry and do it after a win. You know, we're sorry you weren't able to attend such a fantastic win. Can we please ask you that, if possible, you try and use the exchange anytime you can't make the match? You know what I mean? Like, how difficult is that to try and drive it? You don't have to give them anything. Just ask in a private letter. Doing this out to the world, like, how on earth is that going to work?
Yeah, plus Coventry is a bit of a working man or working class club as well. You need to understand that, you know, with the ticket exchange, you need to know you're not going to go to a game days beforehand. I'm sure there's probably lots of fans that obviously are hoping to go. You know, some of them will go, if I can get away from work early, I can go to the game, or, you know, if I can get away from doing something, or I might be able to go, you know, it could almost be like a half an hour before they're due to leave sort of decision. So you're not, you know, as a fan, you're not going to put your ticket on the exchange, you know, in case something crops up or something doesn't crop up, and you go, oh, I can go to the game. Stupid.
Okay. Right. Now, how does that link to Birmingham? Well, it's about fans. And Birmingham fans weren't too happy at the end of their last match. So lots of videos were posted online from the fans' perspective at the end of the match. So, John, do you want to tell us what happened?
Well, the fans vocalised their displeasure about the performance, as you would expect, because away form has been terrible. And we have a particular away, shall we say, we have a very loyal, dedicated away support. Most of our away tickets sell out. You have to be sort of in the platinum or gold away supporters to get tickets anyway. So it's, you know, hey, these guys turn up and travel up and down the country week in, week out. Yeah, shall we say one or two players didn't take too kindly to the reception from the away section. So yeah, I did see the sideways and backwards chant. That's quite funny. That's what I would call Brummie humour. Lots
of people use that. It's funny though. We've done it once or twice. Actually, I don't know if you know this story, John. Ken knows this because we spoke about it on the show going back. Do you remember when Mullen came out and basically gave out to the fans after the fact? He just mentioned it in one of the interviews or somewhere, that he doesn't want the fans to sing "We Always Lose Away" anymore. That it's not supporting the team, and it gives a bad atmosphere at the away matches. So this was what, 2 seasons ago where we had absolutely horrendous away form, and we had excellent home. And I think it was one of the first times they actually did it, and it was more in fun and in jest. Everybody was used to the fact that, you know, we lost matches away, and they started to sing "In the Jungle, the Lion Sleeps Tonight," but changed it to the, you know the chant. People use it for "We always win away" or "We always lose away." You can say it either way. So they started, the Wrexham fans started singing "We always lose away," and he came out and wasn't happy about it. So what's your opinion on, like, how much the players should address kind of backlash like this, and how much is acceptable by your fan base? Should you always be the positive, happy clapper? It doesn't matter what happens. You should be behind your team. Should you be shouting at your team? Should you be booing your team at halftime and at the end of matches? Where do you land on this?
I think, see, Blues fans are a loyal bunch. And I think we could be we are terrible away from home, but the next away game, we will be behind the side for 90 minutes. But after the game, they will always voice their opinion. Same with home. You know, if we're not happy, we've always been like that. You know, as long as you give 100% on the pitch and we lose, fans will usually accept that. It's when you get a bit of spineless performances from a select few, which, you know, that's where it comes from. And I think one of the issues was we had a guy, one of our players, decided to confront some of the away fans, and he's one of the few which haven't exactly, shall we say, put a lot of effort in recently. And it's one of those where you just think, yeah, if you're scoring goals and you're playing really well, you can come and have a pop at us. But when you're putting in absolute doggo performances, don't come over to the away fans after just being beat 3-0 and saying, "Oi, what you doing, booing us?" It's like, come on, mate. You're getting paid a lot of money to run around a pitch. Yeah, I have no problems with it whatsoever. And if the players don't like it, well, tough luck.
Okay.
Yep. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, you know, and if that's the way the fans feels, that's the way the fans feel. Simple as that. Boys, I'm going to have to jump out. I've got to get going.
Okay. No
I'm going to leave everybody here in the chat. Don't forget to hit that like button for Paddy and John. I'm sure they're going to get into some deep dives on some stuff here now. So have fun. looks like, yeah. But I'm looking forward to tonight's game, Paddy. Can we get 4? Can we get 4 wins out of 4 in this Christmas period?
We can.
Okay.
We can.
Well, I'm going to leave you with that because I've got to jump out of here. Boys, thanks very much. And
Cheers
we'll
for jumping in. Good to see you.
Bye.
Take care. Okay, here is the other side of it. Jimmy John Bangles. Players just shut up and perform, and at a minimum give 100% effort.
That's the thing. If somebody gives 100% effort and works their absolute what's-its off, then they've got every right to turn around to the fans and say, "Oh, I'm doing my bit." It's when you get, shall we say, lackluster performances and you get rolled over, then it's almost a degree of you have to, as a player, you just have to accept that criticism, and you rightly get criticism from that. It's one of those. I always say I don't understand what goes through a lot of footballers' heads, but if, like, for instance, with the last game with us, you've just been absolutely walloped 3-0 away from home in a really poor performance, and you've had 2,000 fans travel all the way down to London to watch you on New Year's Day, and you have a pop at them because they're not happy. Really? Is it is it surprising to anyone? Just baffles me a little bit.
Yeah. So from the players / team perspective, all right, what's the best way to handle this? Is it the team always go over at the end of the match, win, lose, good performance, bad performance, you go over and you ignore the people having a pop? Or do you just say, okay, we only go over and talk to the fans when we win? Like, what do you think is the best way to get a communal feel here that kind of works for both?
You just take it, don't you? I think the pictures I saw of it is you had a few of our players which didn't take too kindly to it, but you had a few of the older experienced guys sort of grab and put their arm around them, and almost, you can imagine they were just saying, look, you just got to take it. You take the adulations and you take the celebrations when you win, but you also have to take the knocks when you lose. So, and even when you lose, the away fans will still expect the team to go over and applaud the fans for turning up. Yes, if we've been absolutely, or any team have been terrible, and if there are a section that having a right pop. I mean, I remember it a lot worse when we've been floundering in the bottom end of this division. We've had "you're not fit to wear the shirt," and we've had absolutely useless players. They've all stood there and took it, like a lot of fans and players do. So there's no right or wrong way, but I think lashing out or having a pop back it's never going to end well for players, is it? Let's be honest. If a player lashes out and has a pop back at a fan base,
it's a story.
It's a story, and
it's immediately a story,
and it's a long way back as well, because the fan base then, all your, shall we say, credit in the bank is gone. So as that player, then you have to perform. Then you won't get a game off, shall we say, where the fans will let you swerve one. If you've had a pop at the fans, like Dutch did for us, if he plays tomorrow, the fans will expect a performance, and if he doesn't perform, they will let him know about it.
Surely over time, actually, here's one. Do the team always go up to the fans? Do they ever skip it?
No.
Did you?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Surely, if you foster that look, guys, here's what we're going to do. End of story. You take it on the chin, right? We're always going to go up. We're always going to be polite. We're going to say thank you, and then we're going to leave. Surely that has to take a little bit of the sting out of the most ardent of the asshole fans. If you get that little bit of kind of goodwill from this, without issue, without kind of the £20,000 player a week mouthing off or acting like a big shot or all this sort of crap that you can throw at them, whether it's true or not, or whether it's valid or not, doesn't really matter in the circumstance. Surely it takes a bit of sting out of it.
It doesn't. It's one of those, isn't it? I think if all the players, came over to the away end, kind of accepted a bit of a popped back at them and applauded the fans and walked off, there wouldn't have been an issue. The issue was there was one particular player decided to have a pop back at the fans, walked straight up there and wanted to have a pop back at one of the fans in the stand. And you just thought, well, what were you hoping to achieve with that?
Mm.
You know, I don't think there's any senior football captain or senior figure at any football club would say that that was a good idea.
Good idea, yeah. Okay, cool. So that is sorted. An owner who isn't happy when he's winning and coming first in the league.
Or not making enough money.
Actually, that's probably it. Well, yeah. I suppose there are rumors that he's about to go bankrupt. So, yeah, maybe he needs the cash.
Yeah, he wants that promotion to the Premier League probably more so than anyone, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't see he'll have the money next season to upgrade his squad immediately if he's that cash strapped. Maybe he'll be putting it in his pocket and happy to come straight back down. Who knows?
Won't bet against it.
Right. So I've been playing with my numbers and graphs and stuff again. I've been having great fun today. Right. So we've been doing okay this last couple of matches, and it has put in people's minds, can we make the playoffs? So I decided to do a couple of figures here. I'll explain this a little bit, and I have some more as well. So what I did was the top two lines, Wrexham and Birmingham this season. In the first 23 matches, we got 31 points and you guys got 30. And then I said, well, okay, let's go back and have a look at the previous couple of seasons and see where the playoff teams were at the halfway mark. And that's what's out there in front of you, 23 matches, win, loss, draw. And now, last season, we had Sheffield United in third, 50, Sunderland 44, and then the two you would probably be targeting fifth and sixth, because anything above, great, but they're the ones you want to be aiming at. Coventry had 27 points. Bristol had 30. They're pretty nice numbers.
It was a low total, wasn't it, last season, which would show in that data.
Yeah, because obviously the top two last year were both 100 points.
100 points, yeah.
So they took points off everybody, which helped push the average of everything else down. Season before, you have Leeds on 45, Southampton on 45, and then you had West Brom 36, Norwich 34. So a lot of points up there. I'm not quite sure what the top two did. So maybe the top 2 points spread out a little bit among the playoff teams instead. But that's pretty strong for the first half.
They were high 90s, wasn't it? Because it was Leicester.
Yeah, I have them on the next sheet, so we can have a look and see what the actual totals were as well at the end of the season. And then the year before, we had Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry and Sunderland. 33 points, 30, 33 and 32. That's where they were at halftime and ended up getting into the playoffs. So just slightly ahead of where we are. One match, basically, better.
That was the perfect season, wasn't it, for non-parachute teams? Because I think it was like two out of the three parachute teams all bombed that season.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so lots of basic data here. I laid this out because I wanted to have a quick look at patterns and just see was there any sort of patterns or whatever. And to be honest, there isn't huge patterns here. But what it does show is the bottom of the playoffs. It's a nice big mess and jumble of results. You know, there's no consistency in the championship, even among the teams that ultimately ended up in the playoffs. You do sometimes, like if you have a look at Norwich in season 23-24, they had a run of 4 losses in a row and they had no more than 2 wins in a row in their season. And then anything else kind of big ones jump out? West Brom got 3 wins, a loss and 2 wins. So a nice run there out of 6 matches. But generally not. Like there's no really big stretches there, which kind of shows that you do need to get decent results somewhere, but where doesn't really matter so much.
I think what it does kind of suggest is if you have a strong third team and fourth place team, they are the two that tend to make the final, which is what has happened in those, because you had Sheffield United v Sunderland in the final, and you had Leeds v Southampton in the final of the playoffs. The season before, where you would say that's they're all much of a muchness there, aren't they? Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry, where I think it was Luton v Coventry made the final in that year. So that could have been anything. But the other two seasons, it kind of shows that, if you've got two teams which have finished a lot higher than the other two, so the teams in third and fourth tend to make the final, sadly.
Okay. Interesting. Now I'll pull up the other sheet. So here, instead of showing every individual match, I broke it down to win, draw, losses, and then I show the first half of the season and then the second half, so we can actually see the results here. So last season, it was 90 points, 76, 69, 68. Season before, 90, 87, 75, and 73. Season before, 80, 75, 70, and 69. So it does kind of flex a bit between season to season. It can vary, I suppose, between about 6-7 points. Good years, bad years, high and low. But one thing that you can notice here, if you look under position matches 1 to 23, the first half, and then the second half, in most cases, the teams that ended up in the playoffs had a much stronger second half of the season. So that seems to be a very important factor in order to get you to the playoffs, is you need to turn up in the second half. Maybe they've strengthened in January. Maybe they've done good work or whatever in improving their teams. But either way, it's not that often you get there with a really poor second half. Like one example here, but it's a little bit of an extreme example, is Sheffield United last season. They got 50 points in their first half of the season and then 40 in the second half, but they still ended up with 90 points. They were still miles ahead of the bottom end of the playoffs. And that tracks for every season. At least the bottom two, 5th and 6th, had a better second half of the season. Not necessarily by a huge amount, but definitely stronger in the finish. So what do we think there?
Kind of goes true to form, doesn't it, really, where you would expect, third and fourth, third especially is within an automatic promotion battle, which, sometimes you would say might drop off a little bit towards the end as they miss out on second or, they just don't do enough. And 5th and 6th are arguably the two teams that have come in the last sort of 8 to 10 games in form, essentially, which is why they get 5th and 6th. Because usually the 5th and 6th places are the ones that tend to be up for grabs with a block of 8 to 10 teams going for it, don't they? So the teams in form do tend to sneak in and get those two positions.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't dig into, because it was just a lot of effort to do it, I would have liked to have known exactly where these teams were on the table at the 23 matches, but that would have meant doing it for every team in the season in order to see where they were on the table. Or there's a website that can do it that I'm just not aware of. But anyway, that would have been nice to see, but it's kind of irrelevant anyway because of the flex. It doesn't really matter what position you're in. It just matters how many points you need, kind of, and is it doable or not.
Yeah, you tend to find, I think, in if my memory's correct, in those sort of seasons, is like you had Coventry obviously started notoriously have always started seasons quite poorly, so they would have been quite low down, shall we say, after the first half, as you can see there, because 27 compared to 42, so they really turned it around in the second half of the season. I think Sunderland, Bristol were there or thereabouts, and the same with the previous season, where I think a lot of people whinged about that season because you had Ipswich and Leicester. Leicester had won the league by March or something, and then you had Southampton, West Brom, Norwich just so clear, and it wasn't really a playoff fight. So Yeah, I think there's usually one, maybe two that come from everywhere, from down low, but it's not often. 3 out of the 4 tend to be, I would imagine, there or thereabouts for most of the season.
Yeah. Just writing a comment here because the chat is a bit glitchy. It's not our fault, actually. Okay, so right. It is for the last couple of seasons we've always been working on 2 points per match over a season will get you to the top 2. So auto promotions, that's what we were aiming at. This season we're aiming at playoffs, so it's a little bit different. It's actually about 1.5 ish. Usually will get you there. Now we're slightly low on the 1.5. So we probably want to be aiming at near enough that 2 points for the second half of the season. Will be enough to get you there. That will basically guarantee you to get there, actually. So 23 matches at 2 points is 46 on top. You're going to be at the 75, 76 mark at the end of the season. That almost guarantees you a spot. I think there's been 1 or 2 seasons only that sort of number won't get you there. But that's what we want to be looking at in the general, over blocks of 5 or 6 or whatever, close to that 2 points per match. I know now we've had 2 matches into the new half, and you got 1 point, and we've pulled off 6 so far, which is why people on our side are kind of looking, how close to playoffs. So those extra 6 points are not accounted for here on our side. So we've had a really strong start, and that's helpful for us. Do you see any world that you can make the playoffs? Can you strengthen? Can he get the team together for a bit of consistency to push realistically for a playoff?
It's possible, unlikely, but it's possible. I mean, it's the Championship, so anything's possible in that. Mm-hmm. I would argue for us, it depends on the strengthening, in January. Not necessarily how much we spend. I think it's more about getting in the personnel in the positions that we are weak, in the sense of where we left ourselves short in the summer. Which I think every Birmingham fan said in the summer, we're a bit light here or we're a bit light there, but okay. And unfortunately, those areas have come back to bite us on the bottom. But no, I do. I think I'll be honest. No, I don't think we'll make the playoffs. It would take an almighty turnaround. It's possible because you've still got half the season to go. So, but it feels a big ask right now.
Yeah. You've already done some quick business. You have now 2 players in, don't you? Is the second one official, or was that a rumor?
It's a rumor, but it's from a very trusted source, so it's likely to happen. I don't think it's been made official yet, but so it's one deal's official. The second deal is, by all accounts, all but done.
Who is that second deal? They're roughly 2 million, wasn't it? Cheap.
The first deal was for Kay Wagner, who's the left back, and that was, I think, about 2 million. And the second deal is to make the Patrick Roberts loan move permanent, and that's apparently a £1 million fee. Oh,
so that's the second deal. It's a loan you already have.
It's a loan we already have to make it permanent.
Okay. Right. I wasn't aware of that. I get you. So that's why it can be quick, because you've been working on it for ages.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 more?
I think so. But I think it does rely on us getting rid of some people. I think it's not even a well-known secret. I think it's pretty obvious that Cashin is going back, and I think Kumas will go back. So those 2 loan deals will be cut short. I don't know whether we'll get loans in to replace the loans or whether we'll go for I don't know, but they will be replaced as such. So I foresee we've addressed the left back. We've got a left back cover in. Obviously the Roberts being made permanent, it's a nice to have, but it's not really going to change much in that regard. So I still think we need another winger, because obviously Kumas will be going back. If Cashin goes, I still think we will need a left-footed centre-back that is comfortable playing in a possession-based team. And I still think we'll look for another forward, if I'm honest, because I think it's pretty obvious that I think everyone knows that Lyndon Dykes will be leaving the club as well. So we will need another forward to come in and replace him.
Okay. Right. Our realistic ideas of maybe hitting playoffs, it depends on who we bring in as well, I think. I don't think our squad is strong enough as it is to hit 2 points a match consistently for the rest of the season. Obviously, I hope our winger situation sorts itself out and stays healthy. But there's a few other spots that we're a little bit light on as well if we were to get injuries that could hurt us. So I think we need 3 solid new players as well to just beef up a couple of areas, and then we'll have a potential shot at it. Obviously, just the 6 points in the first 2 is really helpful.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to Josh some weeks ago. I said, we both feel like typical mid-table sides where, because I know we'd won 4-0, 4-1, 4-0 or something, and drawn or something like that, and I think he said, "Oh, you can make the playoffs." I was like, "Yeah, but we can put a block of like 3-4 games together, like we could win 3. Problem is, exactly what happened is the next 6 we don't, if you know what I mean." And you guys did the same, where you didn't really win for many games, and then you won a couple. That's why I say it. We are typically mid-table because, it wouldn't surprise me if we go and win 3 at the next 4 or something daft like that, and you guys go and draw 3 at the next 4. That's just kind of inconsistent, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah. What was I about to say? I was about to say something. I can't remember.
I think the problem with the playoffs that we both probably, or a lot of the teams face, is that I don't know if you've got a slide on it, but the points that those playoff teams have amassed already feels high to me. So it feels like it's going to be in the 70s for playoffs this season for me. And they look kind of strong.
Now, I have to do a little bit of digging, but we can do this because I think we have plenty of time tonight. Okay, so Middlesbrough first up, currently 43 points. Now, last 2 results were 2 losses. So they were 43 points at the half.
Halfway, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put this back up because this is a good one to actually have a look at. I didn't even think of doing this. Which I probably should have because we're at the halfway for everybody else. 40. I said 46. Did I? No, 44.
Yeah.
40. Sorry, 43. Okay. No. 50, 45, 33. Okay, that one's low, but 45 for the last 2 seasons was above them. Then Watford on 41. Let's click on Watford. Watford had 2 wins in the last 2. So that was 35 for them. Now, they may not end up in the playoffs, you see. They could actually go on a bad run as well, but it's just giving a flavour. So that's fine. Hull City then, again, 41 points. And they had 3 points. So they were on 38. For the halfway there. And last one then is Preston North End, 40 points. And they got 3 in the last 2. 37 points. Here, only 3 seasons ago. It's about on track for the last 2 seasons for the bottom 2. Yeah,
it's a little bit higher, isn't it?
It's a little bit higher than season 1 and 3. Season 2 was low.
Yeah. So like last season, you had Bristol on 30, and if you were comparing it, Preston would be on 37 in the same position.
No, 37 was the 3rd place, wasn't it?
No, that was Preston in 6th because they got 3 points down 40.
Oh, okay, yes. So this, okay, yeah. Okay, it is actually. You're right. It is high. So it could be a high season. Unless, of course, those teams fall down. Now,
Yeah.
we have been saying Watford, Hull, and Preston. We're not overly impressed that they're going to stay up there. So if they fall, they're going to lose those points, and then it's going to start balancing itself out then, potentially.
Yeah, I think the other thing is with January. January is going to be big for a few of those clubs.
Yeah.
Hull, I'm not. Hull, I'll be honest. Answers on a postcard. What anyone thinks the Hull owner is going to do. You know, they could easily not buy anyone, or he could go and spend 15
But
million quid.
they had embargo issues last summer.
Yeah.
As well. So they do have financial issues there. But they did decent work with freebies and loans.
Yeah, Watford, I think, will spend money because they do have money behind them. Not loads, but I think they will spend money. Middlesbrough clearly will spend money. Preston is the one. I'm not sure Preston have got, oodles of money to. But I think Preston, to be fair to them, they always do smart business. So they might pick up a player or two, which will probably strengthen them. Will it make a huge bit of difference? Not sure. Not convinced. But yeah. The other thing is I look at the teams below and I'm not convinced in the tracing pack, if you know what I mean. I don't think there's enough consistency in the teams below. I mean, even the likes of Leicester and Southampton, you would expect should come through and, motor up that table. Southampton more especially.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in this first half of the season. But, if you're a Southampton fan, for example, you're sitting there going, well, our squad is as good as anything in this league. Still half the season to go. You should say, well, easily, yes, we can make the playoffs, but you got to do it.
Yeah, that is the case. Like, we do have good teams lower down, right? So that's a fair point. So if we look at the good teams that are going, they don't have to make playoffs. That's the thing, right? These teams we're talking about now, and preferably would be best that they didn't. They could still have a very strong second half of the season, but not make the playoffs, right? So if that happens, you have Leicester City, Southampton, Sheffield United, and even you guys, right? Let's say you just adding you in for a little bit of strength, right?
Yeah.
If you guys all start pulling decent points and start climbing up, who are you going to take them away from? It has to be teams above you as you're climbing. It can't be all teams below you that you're going to pick these points on. So you're gonna pull some of these back a little bit if you can climb. If you can't climb, then they're taking the points and they're staying ahead. The other thing that would help potentially is Middlesbrough. If you actually had Coventry City, Ipswich, and Middlesbrough, and you say, do you know what, guys? Do what happened last year. Have an absolutely blinding second half of the season and beat everybody except us. And take points off everybody. That'll also slow it down with the playoff pack as well.
Do you see that happening?
What, that Middlesbrough and Ipswich couldn't go on a run and knock out Watford, Preston, Millwall?
I think Ipswich are capable. Coventry are a bit of a funny one. They've had their results aren't terrible, but compared to what they were doing, they're having a bit of a wobble, let's say. Yeah. And Middlesbrough's last 4 games have been horrific, haven't they, really? Which has seen them, I mean, they were, I won't say comfortably in second, but they had a nice little gap, didn't they, in second, which has now disappeared. Yeah, I just it's all kind of concertinaed up apart from Coventry, but you also look at Ipswich and you just think if Coventry have another 4 games like they had the previous 4 games and Ipswich win 3 or 4 on the spin, all of a sudden that title race will be, there'll be a couple of points in it.
Yeah. Okay. Positives. Now, I'm going to hit you with a nice, difficult question, all right? Because we said today was the day to dump a little bit on Birmingham. Right. Here's a question for you. In this season that you got relegated from Championship, how many points were you on after 23 matches?
Not far off where we are now. Well,
No.
where we were or something.
You were on 27 points at the halfway, and you are on 30 points for this season.
3 points. Yeah.
3 points in it. And I then also checked your next 2 matches, because we now have had 2 matches, and you got 1 point in the relegation season, and you got 1 point in this season. Now that season ended up being quite high for the relegation zone anyway, as well, didn't it?
Yeah, 50 points. We went down on 50, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. So I'm not trying to imply you could get relegated again this season.
It was possible,
but it's one of those, like, it's not ridiculously far off. But you had a particularly bad season in the second half then as well, didn't you? Like, you really had a bad second half.
Yeah, I think to add a bit of context to that, we were a bit of a mess by then because, of course, we had started off the season under Eustace, had a certain way of playing, a certain style, had done a lot of transfer business to fit that style, shall we say. We then went kind of, polar opposite. Oh, we'll get Rooney and we'll try and play possession-based football. And it didn't work with the players we had. And then essentially we tried to sign players to try and play a little bit more, and we sort of went halfway on one side, halfway on the other, and our recruitment in the January window weren't great, and we were just left with a very mixed up squad in the second half of the season, and to be honest, hey, Tony Mowbray came in, and I still will die on this hill. If Tony Mowbray, bless him, had been fit and well for the entire remainder of that season, we would have comfortably survived, because, we started to turn it around quite easily with him in charge. But obviously no one saw his illness coming, and we didn't recover from that, and the ownership have to take the can for that. They held on thinking he would come back before this season's ends. He didn't. They left it too long with assistant managers in charge and that, and then eventually we turned to Rowett to try and save us at the Hail Mary stage right at the end, but it was about 3 games too late, as it turned out to be. So, but like I said, with context, the squad was a bit of a mess. We had no identity. We were a bit of a mismatch. It was a bit all over the place. This season's very much different. Yeah,
just kind of comfortably made at the moment, see how well you strengthen.
Yeah, plus also everyone knows what we're going to do. The players are the philosophy at the club is settled. Whereas if you had asked me that season,
and it's working at home. It is working at home, so it's not it's not like you're still trying to find that magic system, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, the season we went down, we didn't have a philosophy. If you had asked me what sort of team we are, I would, that season, it was like, I have no idea. Because, back then we were like, well, we're not very defensively sound, so we don't sit back, but we're not very good going forward. We're a bit of an, depending on who we played, depended on what we do. We had some games where I remember we went toe-to-toe with Leicester, for example, and lost 3-2 at home. Fantastic game, but you still got 0 points. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with us, because you say you're very settled, right? If you look at ourselves, we were very settled. We knew what Parky was going to play all the time, exactly same as always. But then our wingers went down, and it just stopped working. Now we pulled off a lot of draws, so look, we were kind of in it. We had a couple of shots here and there that maybe would have saved the match, but didn't happen. But now he's changed it, so we haven't really discussed the changes he's made, have we? Because we haven't. It's all been over the new year. So Parky has basically swapped to a 3-4-3 system, essentially, as the bones of it. Because we discussed this actually, and you said it would never work with the wingers not being fast enough. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant at the moment. So Kiefer Moore played it with Windass and Broadhead. And we had that ding-dong match with Sheffield United on Boxing Day. And it started to work with the 3 boys up front. They're extremely vicious, having the 3 of them up there. They're a nightmare to handle. Thompson played out of his skin on his first time on the left wing role, because Maka got himself suspended. And then the boys up front couldn't play. So we actually changed it and played our League One attackers mainly up front. They held their own, and we've won our last 3 matches. And I was really surprised because first he had to change it because there was a couple of injury issues. Then that was 2 home matches, and we said he's surely not going to do the same thing with injury issues and an away. Everybody was saying his excuse for going back to his old system is going to be it's an away match. And he didn't. He kept with the 3-4-3, played our League One guys in it. And that has worked, albeit against a really poor team. So that's the proviso there. But it looked pretty decent anyway, if we have to do it. And we now don't have a settled system yet. If this is the settled system, we still have to prove it works in the long term. It's worked for a couple of matches. But once we get our players back, maybe it'll still work. It looks fantastic. It's so much nicer to watch that style of football compared to what we used to do. Now, I am a big proponent, and I've said it numerous times, I don't give a crap how bad the football is if we win. I don't care. I'll defend it. It's about winning. So I will watch horrendous football and 2 counter-attacks and we win. That's fine. But when it doesn't work, it's horrendous. Yeah. It really is poor to watch. And this is fantastic to watch. And at halftime on the Sheffield's match on Boxing Day, when we were losing 3-1, I think it was 3-1. I think it was 3-1 at halftime. Yeah. I said at halftime, I said, I don't care if we lose this match. I'm enjoying this football. This is interesting as a style of play. If we can get it to work, because you don't always expect something to work the first time you use it anyway. And then it went from there. So how much did you see of the matches? What do you think about what happened, the style of play, all this sort of carry on from what we discussed previously? And
I watched. I think I watched the Sheffield. Yeah, I did watch the Sheffield United game. Cracking game of football. I saw most of the Blackburn game. Like you said, I would say I was a bit surprised he continued it against Blackburn, the setup. But then again, in hindsight, looking back on it, you would have said, well, Blackburn was kind of the perfect team where you could play that against because of the injuries and blah 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 that they had. So I suppose the acid test will be your next game where you're away against a tough opposition.
Derby's next.
Yeah, which hey, they're not great at home, but they're a tough nut. So they're the sort of side where, as we found out, if you go a goal down against them, or you've got to come, they know how to defend their box, shall we say? So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's like anything, isn't it? And this is one of the criticisms I have of Davis, that if you're going to change something, but you know, it's brilliant, and when it works, you're lauded as a tactical genius. But teams will figure it out, and teams will counter it somehow because everyone's clever enough in the game. The question is, can you then do something else, tweak something else, or do So the next question is, what happens when it doesn't work? Does he go back to plan A and revert back to what he was before, or does he tweak what he's done now? That would be the interesting one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I mentioned this earlier about all the draws we had, that they weren't draws that felt like wins. A lot of them were draws like, oh, we could have won that one. Maybe it didn't feel like a loss either. It was kind of, okay, deserved, but we had our chances. We had our opportunities. If we'd taken them, we could have won those matches. This attacking style football now, this switch, does seem like it's going to convert more of those losses, of those draws, into wins than into losses. And I think we'll end up with more points if he sticks with it. Now, it could mean we're more likely to get an absolute walloping at some point, because when this style goes wrong, I can see it going badly wrong. Because the Sheffield United, a few more things just kind of went in the wrong way. We could have ended up losing that 5-2. As well. It's possible, but now we did dominate the second half, so I'm not going to pretend like we didn't have a good match. But if a few things had changed, we could have lost that significantly.
If the shoe was on the other foot and you were 3-1 up away from home at half time, no matter what the other team are doing, you'd say at 3-1 you should win that game.
Yeah. Habs actually said it was 3-2 at the half time. I wasn't
3-2.
sure we had scored the second.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Just right on the stroke of half time.
Yeah. But still, like you're losing to a strong team.
Yeah.
As well. It's like that's a tough one to come back from, potentially. Anyway.
Showed a lot of character, a lot of grit as well
to
do that.
And that's an interesting point. A lot of people have been saying that that's missing from the team this year, because there's so many new players and what have you. Now they've been saying a lot of shit, like the gloves incident. Did I ever discuss that with you?
Briefly.
I did. I was wearing gloves. We're on the same one. But yeah, no, people had been saying that like there's a real character in the last couple of years to Parky's teams, and we always had that absolute never leave a Wrexham match, because we could draw it, we could win it in the extra time, at the end of the second half, and that seems to be back a bit more now. We haven't necessarily needed to use it, but the team looks like that, which is nice to see. As
a neutral looking in, I don't think I've ever looked at you guys at all this season and gone, you've lacked a bit of grit or something. At times I'd say, yeah, you've lacked quality, granted, but I don't think I don't think I've ever seen a game live on TV with you guys where I've gone, do you know what? They didn't run around enough, or they didn't try, or they didn't fight. I mean, even the Swansea game, which was like, quite honestly, one of the worst games of football I've seen in a long time. It weren't for the lack of trying. All right, they won a lot of good football on show, but your lot came off the pitch and they'd worked their absolute socks off. So, which is like anything, isn't it? As a fan, you'd say if you give them 100% and you come off the pitch, and if you just lost on the day because the other team had just been better, but your team gave it all, you got no real complaints at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's fair. I have personally felt they've been putting it out there on the pitch. And yes, certain players just haven't looked good enough at times, but other players were. We said it's like certain players, they are playing to their absolute limit, but unfortunately their limit is in a certain place, but they gave everything they had, which you can't ask any more than that. It's not possible.
No, and in all honesty, that's kind of where we're struggling a little bit now, where we've got injuries and suspensions and we've got players playing out of position or not first team starters. And at times they're not good enough. It's not that they're not trying, they're just not good enough, and you just have to kind of eat it at that point where you just go, well, that's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I think, is we've kind of flown through the topics a little bit faster than I expected. So I'm going to open it up to the chat for questions. I know there are some questions there that I haven't brought up. So I'm going to go back through the chats and try and pull up the questions. But guys, right now, if you have any topics you want us to discuss or anything you want to ask as an actual shorter question, we'll try and get to it for a little bit before we finish up. What are we going to say there, John?
I'm going to say I'm surprised you haven't asked me the Josh Sackwatch question regards Davis yet. Really?
Oh yeah, actually that's a very good point. I said we're going to talk about it, but see, I know exactly what you're going to say, so maybe that's why it slipped my mind. Okay, he has been on a bit of a slide, right? Mm-hmm. Surely soon enough they're going to have to start discussing it. I don't believe that article that came out, they've never discussed it, blah blah blah, they're fully behind him. I understand the idea of staying loyal. I understand being twice shy after what happened last season, and stuff like this. So I don't think he's going to go that soon, but that's a good point. This week I have been watching a couple of other podcasts on Birmingham, and almost everyone is saying that he's done after Coventry. When you lose to Coventry, he's gone. And a couple of people are saying if he draws at Coventry, it'll save him for another while, but unless he gets an immediate turnaround, he's it's got to happen. So at what point, like, do you now? I'm gonna tell people what you think first, because I know what it is. I'm talking as if everybody does. So, what's your expectation?
I'm split, really.
Mm-hmm.
If it was up to me, I would have got rid of him, which may come as a shock to some people.
Okay.
And I will say this only because of the away record. Our away record is terrible, and the reason I say that is because even with injuries, even with suspensions, even with everything else, we don't try and do anything, or he doesn't try and do anything differently tactically or from a setup of a team to change the way we play away from home. It's very much of I have my philosophy, I have my way of playing, and if it's not working, we're just going to keep doing the same thing and hope something changes. For me, that's not good enough. You've got to learn on your feet at this level. What I actually think will happen is, do I believe that article that came out where they haven't discussed it? I think they surely will have discussed a short list of managers, shall we say, if they had to, because they, hey, they're not going to do that the day before they sack him. So there will be a list, and I'm sure there's been discussions of if we have to make that critical decision, what are we looking at? Do I think that it all hinges around the Coventry game? Absolutely not. I think there's a lot of clickbait and a lot of podcasts out there trying to drum up a story out of absolutely nothing. I think the other thing that people need to understand is that the Eustace Rooney thing will scarred the ownership. And let's be frank about this. Gary Cook answered with that mess with his job because he is no longer the CEO and hadn't been for a while. There was no actual reasons why he left. It was labelled as personal reasons. It was the official line. But I think everyone outside and inside the football club can probably turn around and say, well, it was the Rooney debacle, replacing John Eustace with Rooney, and he paid for that with his job. That's what everyone seems to think. So I think there is a scarred nature from that of making knee-jerk reactions. So I don't think the Coventry game is the be-all and end-all. I think he gets the January window. I think they will back him. I think Tom Brady particularly likes Chris Davies, and I know, and Tom Wagner's always been very, bullish about his support of Davies. I do think he needs to get some results after Cambridge. You look at the fixtures there; they're not exactly terrible fixtures. They're kind of fixtures, and I think this is where a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it, we're all sort of hypocritical football fans, aren't we? After a result, our fixtures have not been kind leading up over the Christmas period, and you factor in the injuries and suspensions we've got, and the problem is, like I said earlier, this is my criticism of Davies. He has a certain philosophy and way of playing. The right back is almost absolutely key to his system, and we've not had a fit right back since Ethan Laird got injured. I don't know when that was, September, October time or something like that. We've had a left back in and out of the side, and we've had to play centre backs at left back. Central midfielders, Awata, who's arguably our only defensive midfielder, has had to play right back, which means we've not had a defensive midfielder we've been able to play in midfield. And unfortunately, the way that Davies plays, those are all critical positions in his style and the way that we build up, and not having them has really hurt us as a team. So, like I said, with January in mind, I think he'll be backed. I think players will come in. We will definitely come out of January stronger than we went into January. And then the proof will be in the pudding. I think he will. I'm not going to, say he's got 2-3 games, but you would argue that you got Swansea away, Sheffield Wednesday away, Stoke at home, Oxford away. He needs to get some results out of those 4 games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like must wins or 3 wins or that.
Yeah.
Performances and results need to improve, whether it's wins in Swansea away, Sheffield Wednesday away, or whatever it is. The amassing of points needs to be taking place.
Okay. Coventry is somewhat of a free hit, right? Because they're doing so well at the top of the table. They can beat anybody, and losing at home to Coventry is not the end of the world. So that's one thing. Now, it's somewhat of a free hit in that if you can actually take out Coventry, if you can win that match at home, that's going to do a lot of good. to stabilizing the idea of him maybe needing to go. So that's great if you can pull that off. But just assuming for the moment you don't, and you get a draw or a loss from Coventry, then you go into Cambridge. Does the match in the FA Cup mean anything if you lose it?
Nope, because we will rotate the squad completely.
Even with a week?
Yeah.
4.5 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll give a lot of players which, if they haven't already left the club, which have not really played minutes that game. He's been true to that all last season as well, where even in sort of important cup games, there was only really the Newcastle game in the FA Cup last season where I would argue he played as close as to his full strength league side. And even that had a couple of changes in it. So, no, I don't think the Cambridge game matters in the slightest, to be brutally honest.
Okay. Then when you come back from that, you've had basically, a 2-week break, excluding the FA Cup. But if you're going to play a lot of your secondary players, you have plenty of time on the pitch with your first team to be working on whatever you want to work on. Obviously, maybe you've 1 or 2 new players. If you have them by then, maybe not. You try and work them in as best you can. But 2 away matches back to back, right? Your away form has been horrendous. Everybody knows that. But then you've got Swansea, who are on the lower end of the table, followed by Sheffield Wednesday. We're going to give you Sheffield Wednesday, even for an away match. Let's just say you got those 3 points. But surely it's poor. If you do end up going lost at Watford, lost at Coventry, and if you do lose the match away at Swansea, and it doesn't look like anything has much changed after 2 weeks with the team.
Oh yeah.
That would be a bad loss, wouldn't it?
Yes, I would say depending on the business, because I think for more the sounds is come the Swansea game, we should have the likes of Damara Gray back fit. Of course, Tommy Doyle's back from suspension against Coventry. Clara will be back after the Coventry game from suspension. You would like to think we will get a few players through the door at that point or early in, so they're going to have a week, maybe a week and a bit on the training pitch. Would I accept a draw away at Swansea if we played better? Yes, I probably would. I think the key for that Swansea game is we need to show a turnaround in performance away from home, rather than I won't go into that game saying he has to beat Swansea away, because considering our away record this season, that's just that's laughable. You can't go into an away game and sort of demand, we must win that game. I would say, we need to not. Ideally lose that game, but we need to play well in that game. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Then after that, it's kind of too far away. You need to kind of see what's happening before you're worried about Stoke and Oxford. There was a question earlier, which was basically, surely if they were considering changing it, they should have been looking at the January window with a new manager.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing where, I think this is where I like I said, the Coventry game I think has been blown out by a lot of podcasts and a lot of media as a bit of a non sort of entity. If they were going to make a change, they would have done it already. It does, as I think I discussed with some Blues fan on Twitter earlier. There was a rumor going around that apparently he was sacked today and that he cleared out his office, but he's going to be on the touchline. He's going to be on the touchline tomorrow for the game, but then there'll be an announcement Monday. It's like, come on, you've been sacked and you clear out your office, but you stand on the touchline. Come on, let's be real here, people. No, I think it was clear as day. The rumours coming out of the club weeks ago was that he still had the full backing of the ownership. They would back him in January. I don't see why they would have changed their mind between now and then. The loss against Watford was horrific and we defended terribly. But again, you look at our side, no Stansfield. Cochrane gets taken off injured, no fit right back. We started with our third choice right back playing right back. It's you got Jack Robinson and Neumann as a back two, no Clara. So the team's in a bit of a disarray and a bit it's cobbled together. And I'll be honest, our biggest miss has been Damari Gray. Damari Gray is probably our best player. He is one of the most creative wingers at this level. And if he was at any other club and he was out, every team would miss him. Unfortunately, we miss him really badly. And he won't be back tomorrow, but by all sounds of things, he'll be back after the FA Cup game. So,
yeah. Okay, I'm looking back over the comments, and one of them is pretty interesting here, as soon as we're talking about managers. This is an older comment from Lexi. Question: what makes someone a Premier League coach versus, say, a Championship coach? Tactics, connections, personality. What's your opinion on that one?
Well, unfortunately, these days it tends to be more about style of play more than anything, and coaching, shall we say? I don't. There's that horrible thing that goes around, isn't there? Where realistically, if you are to manage in the Premier League and you're a current manager in the Championship, in all likelihood, you've got to get promoted from the Championship. You don't, just because you do well in the Championship doesn't necessarily put you up for jobs in the Premier League, which is kind of sadly true in a lot of cases. I don't think personality necessarily comes into it. I don't know about connections, but I would say tactics, philosophy, I would probably say is the big one. Prime example is Paul Heckingbottom at Preston. Has a certain way of playing. Preston play a certain way. It's been very successful. Do you ever see a Premier League side knocking down the Preston's door to get him as manager? Sadly not. That's just football, rightly or wrongly. These days, Premier League clubs all want to play football like Man City, don't they?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show this again. I'm going to throw it out there. Kelly, if you're still here, thank you for the donation earlier. And what I'm going to say is throw in a question first, Kelly, because I know you wanted to watch the show tonight particularly. I'm now, and out to the chat as well, I'm going back through the chat and pulling up any questions that are there, but here's your opportunity to just throw in some random questions and we'll do some of them before we finish up. So I'm having a look now back through our show. So here's one, back to Wrexham for a little bit. Do we expect Ward to be registered? If so, that takes up a roster spot. Yes, I personally do think Ward will be registered, because this is an interesting one for Wrexham. We were speaking about why did we bring in Ward in the first place for this season, and the reason was they're too shy of goalkeepers. Now, we have had so many injuries with our goalkeepers going back through the seasons. It is almost zero chance that they're going to go in with two. Now, if they can find a third who doesn't need to be technically registered, that might be the best opportunity to do. So I would not be completely blown away if we actually got another keeper. If we let Burton go, if he wants to go, if he can find somewhere, I would not be surprised if we spent a bit of cash on a young keeper who has real potential, but is maybe untested and might cost us a couple of million because he's still young and under the 21 age bracket. I would not be surprised if that happens. But if Ward is not coming along from his injury as well as he should be, then I would not be surprised to see something happen with goalkeepers in this window, because we're too shy on it. I know Ward has been out on the grass and is back in training and has been seen around with the squad. But obviously the problem is if he doesn't get his range of motion back properly in his shoulder, his arms, everything, then it was an arm injury. That's a big problem for a goalie. If he doesn't get absolute perfect motion back in that arm, it could severely impact his abilities as a goalkeeper. So the fact he's running around on the pitch doesn't necessarily mean he's ready to come back. I assume he is. That's the obvious answer. We have heard nothing to say he's having issues or problems. I haven't heard any. We heard one rumor of a goalkeeper actually a while back, but that was kind of a couple of months ago. And I think that's probably more related to Burton, because Burton in the summer apparently said he wants to leave, that he doesn't want to stay as number 3. And when they brought Ward in, he doesn't want to stick to that third spot. So maybe he can find somewhere in January, maybe not. January's not a fantastic time for goalkeepers, unless somebody has an injured goalkeeper. So we'll see how that plays out. But yes, I do expect to give him a spot and have 3 goalkeepers, even if that means registering 3 players into the squad. I don't think we'll go with 2.
Yeah, if he's going to be, for argument's sake, if he's going to be fit before the end of the season, which he will be, in theory, then he gets.
Yeah, he should be back not long after the window closes. Was the expectation?
Yeah, and you can't go into, for argument's sake, you can't go into the rest of the season where you don't register him and you register, say, a midfielder or an attacker, and then Okonkwo goes down with an injury, because then, well, Parkinson and them lot will be absolutely drawn out for that. So if he's fit enough to play some part of the second half of the season, he will get registered.
Yeah, the only thing I could along those lines that I could see, and this might be Parky's way around it because he likes to play games like this, is if it was going to be a delayed return and he wanted to play a little game of wait and see, he could not register a player. He could go with 24 and he could keep the extra spot for injuries and who do I need to bring in to cover. So you could potentially say, right, I'm going to keep Ward off for the moment until he's totally back. And obviously, if Okonkwo goes down, then we can bring in a free agent goalkeeper from somewhere and he'll get registered as backup or as the first team goalie or whatever. We can afford to pay someone good money who is older, who isn't registered or whatever, is just missed out on their last opportunity and didn't want to go down to lower levels to do it. We could potentially play some games like that.
Be hard to find.
It's not the perfect situation, but see, I don't think we'll go the entire season without a goalie though. That's the other thing. When Ward is back and ready, I think he'll go in. But
yeah, that's what I mean.
If you have a disastrous injury for someone else, that empty spot does allow you to play your cards, but then you lose Ward for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Which is also dangerous in itself. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he'll leave himself too open in that regard. And I get what you're saying about the spot. The only thing I would say is this side of January, finding, like you said, a free agent, which is going to be any use, because essentially you're not going to get anyone realistically that's going to be a free agent from January, shall we say. So it's going to be a free agent that they've been a free agent most of the season. Then the question is, are they actually going to be any good if they've been a free agent all season? But
yeah, it's not a great one. I suppose some of the Nordic European leagues finish up in the winter and stuff. But yeah, it's not a great situation.
No, I think they would have to be a free agent in the January transfer window, wouldn't they, to be signed? Because that's the way our rules work.
So but that's what I'm saying. If their league finished in December and they were released.
Yeah. Sorry.
They would.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I think he'll be registered. I think we'll have 3 goalies. We'll just have to suck up the spots. Along those lines, I actually hope we spend some money to bring in a youngster. That's how I want to bulk up the squad. I think it's time for us to pay to bring in some young talent to have backups for a couple of areas of the pitch. And that's how we bulk up the squad, so that we have the space for goalies and other areas without needing too much. Now, January isn't the perfect time for doing that either. I know that's the same sort of thing. That's probably a summer thing. But look, we'll see what we get.
Yeah, but January's a good window for a loan to buy. If you can find somebody
But that requires a spot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying we won't do it. If someone's good enough, they're good enough. Yes, they can be in the squad. But that's the problem with loans in Championship, is it does actually cost a spot.
Yeah, but it was more of a, if you were going to go after, say, I wouldn't necessarily say a really young player, but, you know, say somebody who's a youngster in a Premier League squad or something like that, where you might want to then loan them for the second half of the season, but then have it built into the deal that you can then turn it permanent in the summer.
Yeah. I wonder if that's also a situation where the parent club might want it for the PSR reasons, financial reasons, or whatever. So it's almost a done deal, but the fact I don't want my money till the summer maybe gives you a little bit of an out.
Yeah.
If
it
goes wrong.
If it appears in the following year's accounts rather than this season's accounts.
Which I don't think it'd be a problem for us to do that idea, And you know what? The other thing about that is maybe we should be doing that a little bit more often now. This is maybe something we can look at, because we are a team that can afford to buy them at the end of the season. You know, it's not like you're getting a loan from someone and you're not willing to pay decent market value for them at the end of the loan. Whereas I think that's a problem with a lot of loans, is it's just for the experience and then you try and sell them elsewhere. Whereas if you actually bring someone in and you're almost from the start saying, yeah, everything works out, you're our player. You know, it's a little bit more settled for everybody, even the loanee, who knows I have a decent season, I'm gonna be moved.
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of why I questioned our loan business to a degree, is because we've got obviously Beadle on loan from Brighton as a goalkeeper, which it was pretty apparent straight from the off that Brighton have no interest in selling him whatsoever. They see him as a long-term future Brighton number one. So you're kind of just progressing a youngster which isn't yours, which I personally sort of, you know, we're not in a financial boat as a club now where we have to do that. So I was a bit surprised by that. And the same with like Kumas on loan from Liverpool. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to play for Liverpool, granted, but by all accounts, they rate him quite highly. He's still young, so I don't think there's any sale of him on the horizon. So, I rather sort of, you know, and I'm sure it's the same with you guys, is if you're going to loan a player in now, you want it with a view to we'll sign him in the summer or the next window, that you can make that signing permanent. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. That's my point with loans. I think with loans you should be wanting to keep the player. Like if you can. I understand some of the Prem teams do it simply for experience, keep them for 3 or 4 seasons. They have no interest in selling until the value goes up. So that's maybe a little bit different. Okay. Oh, there was one here earlier. Now it's a joke. I have to kind of say that one there. Have you guys any interest in selling Kyogo?
No, I don't think so.
Parky thinks that Kyogo and Lewis O'Brien will pair well together.
There was, I know there's been some cheeky, shall we say, rumours going about that Celtic might be interested in taking Kyogo back. But from what everyone seems to say, or shall we say from the noises, is that Celtic can't afford his wages. So it's a non-starter.
Yeah. That's like the rumour of Rangers wanting Windass. Like, you can't afford Windass.
No. It's one of those, isn't it? The only way that those sort of deals happen is if the player is desperate to make it happen. That's realistically the only way that those deals get done. And do I think in either one of those cases would they be desperate to do that? I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's one. The other one then along that lines was, have we discussed Max to Aston Villa? Have you heard this?
I have.
12 million.
Well, if they offer 12 million quid, snatch their hand off and run to the bank.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, because
yeah.
I, as much as I would love to berate and take a pop at our neighbours, there's no way on this planet they're doing that. They're too smart They make too many good deals. They're not. That makes absolutely no sense of a deal.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know why people.
I'll be brutally honest. He wouldn't even get on their bench. So yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. The only reason I think people are still talking about it is apparently Aston Villa have been monitoring him for quite a while. They've been going back the last couple of seasons. They've turned up occasionally to scout and see how he's been doing. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, they're going to have to buy him in order to loan him for a while. But he's young enough, but he's not that young either. You know, it's a weird one. Yeah, I don't know. 12 just everything gets inflated. So look, 8 or 9, I don't know. Would they even find value in buying a player at 8 and 9 and hoping they make 20, 25?
And if all the rumours are to be believed, they are quite close to the old PSR limits. So I don't think they've got 12 million quid to go throwing around on a player that might then be loaned out, for example. Mm-hmm. If anything, there's a lot of rumours going around that they've got a jettison some in their squad already that are on big wages and can't really get in the side. So, like I said, if it was a lower down Prem team, maybe you could make an argument. But I mean, Christ, unfortunately, as I said, it pains me to say it, they are a decent side in the top 4 right now. Let's get a bit of realism here, shall we say? They've got England internationals playing at centre back for them, for crying out loud.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so another rumour someone mentioned here. Here we go, Habsification. Apparently there's some rumours about Callum Lang to us. Has anybody heard about this? Yes, we did post it in the Discord. We were chatting about it a little bit. Do you know Callum Lang? And do you think he'd be a good fit for us?
No, because I don't think he's good enough.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, he's a name that has done the championship rounds for years. I've lost count. I mean, we got linked to him years ago, and I think everyone in the championship at some point has been linked to Callum Lang. But it's another one of these players gets linked everywhere, but never actually ends up in the championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, so I think the idea was almost a Hardy swap. Was what was speculated here, is that they want Hardy off us and that we'd take Callum Lang. And apparently they want like $1 million as well or something, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, looking at him, I don't think he's the level of player that we want. So yeah, I don't think that works personally.
Does he play regularly for Portsmouth?
He's had some injuries.
Has he?
This year. Yeah. So he hasn't played a huge amount, but he's played a little bit.
He's always struck me as one of those players that is, shall we say, really good League One, but doesn't quite have enough to make the step up to be consistent in the Championship. That's the way I've always looked at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Kelly Davidson has one from earlier. Why isn't Southampton having their run? What's your opinion on Southampton? Should they not have pushed a bit higher by now?
Yeah, they should. I have to say, I mean, they were Jekyll and Hyde. We played them away from home, and they were as good as I've seen this season as a team. They were, attacking, the move and everything were fantastic. We played them at home. It was like polar opposites. I do think their manager made an absolutely baffling decision that game where he rested Cienza, who is quite honestly probably one of the best players in the league, and didn't bring him on to the last 10 minutes. And we all sat there and went, well, if he'd started the game, I'm not sure we'd be drawing this. I am surprised, to be honest. I thought they would be in and around in the top 6 by now. They should be when you look at that squad and the players available. They should be top 6 as a bare minimum this season. But hey, they've given him the gig, haven't they? So he's there for the foreseeable future.
They have, and I'm just going to have a quick look at that actually. What have their matches been like recently? Let's have a look. I think he came in for their derby match, wasn't it? Oh no, he was with them for ages. No, sorry, he wasn't. I'm mixing that up. That was one of the other ones.
I think he got the job permanently when they played us. I think we were the first game possibly where he was permanent manager, and then he beat us and beat West Brom, and then
okay, so he'd lost just before you, but there was a 4-match win streak before that. So 4 wins, then lost to Millwall, then played you guys, 2 wins, and then it was certainly in around that time he got it permanently. Then they lost 2-1 to Norwich December 13th. They had a draw with Coventry, which isn't too bad. Then they had a loss to Oxford, which isn't great, although it was away. Then they drew with you guys and then drew with Millwall.
They drew with us because of a refereeing mishap, yeah. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's go down that rabbit hole. What's your opinion on it, John?
I know there's nothing in the, shall we say, the football rules to say that he needs to stop the game.
Yeah.
But I think I listened to, is it Dermot Gallagher who's on Sky, who does like his ref watch thing, and I think he summed it up perfectly, where he said, in hindsight, yes, there's nothing in the rules to say to stop the game. However, in those situations, referees are told to use a bit of common sense, and he should have stopped the game because he did have a direct impact on play, because he stopped a person from getting the ball, which he did. So while I understand there's nothing in the rule to say you don't stop the game, but as I think Dermot Gallagher said, he's bit of sensible thinking here, and yes, he probably should have done. As I said afterwards, I thought that Iwata could have forced him to do it, because as soon as Iwata got blocked off by the referee, as I said in the stand, I said, well, the best thing Iwata should have done is just run out, just fallen on top of the referee.
Take out the ref.
Take out, if the referee's blocked him, just knock the referee over, because then he has to stop the game. That's what, in the, shall we say, the cynical side of me was, that's what I would have done, because he would have been forced to stop the game then. And you do, and the thing is, you have to play to the whistle, and we still should have defended it better. But I think when something like that happens, a couple of our players even stopped, and everyone's head had gone at that moment in time. And credit Southampton, they continued and played on. So, I think in hindsight, I think, as everyone says, he probably should have stopped the game, because he did have such a direct impact on play.
So what I hear you saying is it's your player's fault for not playing to the whistle.
Yes. Well, should I say there was a couple of players who didn't play to the whistle. There was a few of our players, and a few of their players too. There's 2 or 3 of their players who just stopped.
Okay. Here's one from a little earlier. Who fires their manager first, Birmingham or Leicester? I think in this scenario, it's Birmingham.
I was going to say, I think, I'm not sure Leicester, with everything going on now.
Who's going to come in for them? I know they're a big team, so maybe you would, but what's the point? There isn't really any.
Yeah, and do you see the ownership making a change with all the off the field stuff going behind the scenes? I know form's terrible at the moment, but like you said, if I was to put money on it, I would say probably us, because I think we've got ambition and money and everything, so there's probably more of a desire to make a change, to do something, whereas at Leicester, I think, what can they do really?
Okay. Right. What else do we have here? Marie from SoCal. Question: is there a huge difference between the bottom half of the Premier and the top half of the Championship? First of all, that's actually slightly too vague. I'm gonna cut this down a little bit. So let's say the bottom 5 of the Premier League are those you would expect to be in around it, surviving just every couple of years. They're too close for comfort. And then the top end of the playoffs of the Championship. Have a go at that. I'll have a go at it as well, actually, in a bit.
Yes, there's an absolute chasm between them, between the top half of the Championship and the bottom 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it, of the Premier League. The problem is it doesn't feel like it when you watch Premier League football, because you see those teams getting trounced every week, and you watch obviously the top end of the Championship winning every week. But you look at it in the sense of, you look at Ipswich last season, who look an exceptional side this season, to be fair, you know, with the players and all that, but they are weaker this season than they were last season in the Premier League, and they got absolutely battered in that division. And, you know, yeah. Burnley, prime example, Burnley had, 100 odd points. They're going to come back down.
Yeah. For me, I think on the Championship side, it's pretty clear that there's not that many teams that realistically have a very solid chance of getting top 2. It's a very limited number of teams that can solidly make a real honest attack for the top 2 spots, first of all. And then who are they? Well, they're usually ex-Prem promoted teams that got relegated, parachute teams, or recent parachute teams as well. Like Sheffield United had a really good go at it last season. But they actually still had parachutes at that stage, didn't they? As well. Yes. So they were a parachute team. So A, that kind of proves the point. But then B, if you look at the Premier League side on the other end, Sean said it here, Championship teams struggle after spending 100 million when they go up to the Prem. So yeah, teams go up, spend 100 million on their team, and they still come back down. That shows as well the huge difference between the 2 leagues. And simply on top of that, then you have the number of teams that can't stay longer than that single season and come back down. There's a huge percentage of them that just don't make it for more than one season.
And if we're being honest, if you were to say, I can't think of names off the top of my head, but if you were to look at the Championship this season and say, right, the best players in the league, would anyone in that bottom 3, bottom 4 of the Championship, of the Premier League, take them now? Not because of what they can do in the Championship with like the thought of coming back down, more of would they take them as Premier League players as if they were staying in there isn't. I think, Gus Harmer was the prime example, was by far the best player in this division last season by a million miles. No one wanted him. And when he was last playing in the Premier League for part of the season, made little to no impact. Unfortunately, like as Sean said, clubs can spend absolute fortunes and it still not be enough.
Yeah. Marie just put in a follow-up here, which is pretty relevant, so we'll go straight at it. If a team is promoted to the Championship, how do they stay up?
Spend 250 to 300 million pounds.
Yeah, spend 200 million plus. Easy way to look at that is have a look at Sunderland. I posted it in the Discord not too long ago, actually, as well. I think it's somewhere in the region of 15 players they brought in the summer. They spent 212 million or something on players, and they also had loans, and they also had a couple of free transfers in as well to bulk up their squad. And now they're doing it. So They also did have a very young team from the championship come up with them, and that has helped them a little bit because they've had a couple of injuries, but actually not too many. They've been quite lucky with their injuries so far, I think. But they've lost a load of them to the AFCON. They have like 5 players out international to the AFCON at the moment, I think.
And it's also worth saying that what Sunderland have done is not necessarily a blueprint, because we've seen a lot of clubs try and do, Forest were a prime example. They spent absolutely near broke financial fair play and still only managed to survive by the skin of their teeth. What Sunderland are doing is so out there that it doesn't, yes, they brought 15 players in. Usually you'd say 5 of them would turn out to be decent. The rest of them at Premier League level would usually get found out. It's very unusual that they've had such success in the transfer market where so many of those signings have actually worked. So credit to their recruiting team, and maybe a bit of luck along the way. But unfortunately for everyone else, it doesn't often happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I suppose the other way of doing it, because this is Sunderland's first year up and they're managing to stay there. That's also not usual that you can do that. Most teams are having to do the yo-yo club. They have to go up, they have to take their money, they have to heavily invest in the squad, but no, they're almost certainly coming back down. They know they can't compete, so they just do a lot of strengthening, potentially with good players that might be willing to come down to the championship a little bit. Then they come back down to the championship with a really, really strong squad, and then they blitz the championship again and come straight back up. And then they invest their 200 million after having invested maybe 100 million 2 seasons previous, and have a real go at it. How would Wrexham do it if we went up? I think we would hit 300 million. Honestly, no messing about. I think we would, because we would spend every penny of the 200-ish million we get from the Premier League for going up, and I think Rob and Ryan are ready for outside investment with the people they brought in. They're not at their full percentages of the club. They're waiting to get to the Premier League. Then the two of them will sell off another 25, 30%, whatever they need, to also invest in more players. And then they'll actively try to go up. It's partially one reason that I, in the back of my mind, hope we don't go up this season. Because if we snuck into the playoffs in 6th place and absolutely had a blinder going through the playoffs and went up there, our squad is so weak in some areas, in championship players. It's really difficult to do. It's really, really difficult this early. Most other teams have at least built their squads over 3, 4, 5 seasons. Maybe they've yo-yoed once already as well. So it's really tough.
There's a difference between bringing in, say, 12 to 14 new players and 24 new players.
24 new players. Yeah. People complain about us having older players, more experienced players, slower players. Take that to a Premier League level, you're screwed. Normally, and well, actually, let's just assume for a second that we stay in Championship for the next 3 seasons. All right. We miss out on playoffs this season. Right, not by much. We get 7th. Let's give ourselves the perfect situation here. So we finished 7th. We almost got the playoffs and missed out. Then next summer we start convincing players we're a real team here. We are challenging. We are going for promotion. Come and join us. We get a stronger squad. We make the playoffs next season and we miss out. And we go again. We've now had January windows. We've had more summer windows. Who are you replacing? You're taking every player that is a good championship player, but they're not a top championship player, and you're replacing them. And you're trying to get yourself as close as you can to a complete squad of top-end players. And we have the revenue behind us, backing us, that we don't need to sell these players. as long as we keep pushing the revenues and can stay within our PSR limits and all that, which we should do, unless something drastic happens. It's going to increase year on year. We're going to keep building that squad. And then when we do finally go up, we have a decent squad to start with. And part of that is just going to be getting rid of older players for younger, faster players. And that in itself is an upgrade. And we'll do that across the whole team until we have a younger squad that are better than what we have. And we're dominating. That means then every season or second season, we're getting automatic challenges, let's say, / guaranteed playoffs. So depending on the season and who comes down from the Prem, until eventually you get it. That's the hope. Same hope as Birmingham. They hope to do that as well and build over the next 2-3 seasons where it's the Prem relegated teams and us. And that's it. That's 5 teams already. And we're all trying to squeeze our way into the top 2, but we're getting playoffs every season. Okay, lots of Prem there. Now to a weird one, nothing to do with the Prem. Does it get prohibitive to play in the winter in the Nordic leagues, or do they just not have that many teams? They do have less teams. They have smaller leagues, so they don't have to play as many matches. But some of the leagues do take the winter off. They play over the summer instead, or part of the summer anyway, and they finish their leagues before the weather kicks in, because almost every stadium over here is open to the weather. They're not domes. We can't afford roofs and stuff like that. So they take the winter off a lot. Do we know anything about Kabori's injury? Do we expect him to play on the 6th of January? I would bloody well hope he is available to play for them on the 6th of January. If not, we're still in trouble, and he's still not ready. He's been with them through the whole group stages. Hasn't come off the bench. Now, maybe he wasn't needed. Maybe they have other cover just as good, and they're going to leave him sit on the bench unless they absolutely need him. But I hope it's not a case of they're not using him because they're worried about him, because that's then a problem for us. So, yeah, I hope he's able to play on the 6th of January, whether he does or not, and I hope they get knocked out. And I hope he's on a plane home to start playing with us again.
I would say the same about Asai Samuel in Nigeria, but then again, Asai Samuel's been that rubbish for us, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay, so that is almost it. There is one question left. I'm going to give it to you, and then we are out of here. So, Matt White, final question of the night. Did you already talk about how Birmingham turns things around? We kind of generally talked about some of the problems, but if you want to just give us your absolute wish list, what does he need to do? What does he need to change? Other than buying in fucking 20 players and
we need fit players back. We need suspended players back. That's really it, to be honest. We need a fit right back, a proper right back. I'll be honest, we need to get Kyogo scoring goals. I know it's a bit of a laughable thing because he hasn't scored for us, but he is a goal scorer, and we need to get him scoring goals, because if you can get a guy scoring goals, you're halfway there at this level. So, and a lot of people make out about Stansfield, and Stansfield is a good player, and I won't say he's a natural goal scorer because he isn't, but he's always good for, I would say, between 12 and 15 goals this season. But if we can get Kyogo firing again, which at the moment looks an absolute million miles away, then that will go a long way to turn things around.
Okay, so on that bombshell, you need Kyogo to actually score 15 goals in the second half.
Easy.
Come on, if Moore can score 10 in the first half, Kyogo should be able to score 15 in the second.
Exactly. Football arc's easy.
Right, guys, have a good night on that bombshell. We are out of here. Thank you very much. We will see you soon. A match tomorrow. Actually, for me, technically today. And John. Bye.
Yeah.